Hey everyone, welcome to the Bootleg, the Tennessean's new high school football live talk show. First one live. We did a trial run last week, but hey, we're live. Michael Murphy here, sports writer here for Tennessee. I'm Tom Kreager, the high school sports editor. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. New set here. I want to thank all the football coaches in the Nashville area that have provided helmets, jerseys, and everything else. Keep them. If you have something you'd like to donate, let us know. We'll come by and pick them up. Thanks for everyone that's helped out so far. So week one, we're in the books. Biggest surprise upset of week one. For me, it has to be Upperman defeating Cookeville 23-7. First year head coach Adam Kane, welcome to Upperman. Came over in the offseason from Sequatchie County. The first game of the year beat Cookeville at 6A power. Cookeville goes to the state quarterfinals last year. Graduated just about every starter, but still a lot of talent on that team. Big win, 23-7. It won't. I mean, to me, that's job security for Adam Kane for the rest of the year.
Way to start it off right. I'm also going to go with a 3A team over a 6A. East Nashville knocking off Riverdale 30-22. Riverdale's down, we know that, but this is an East Nashville program that we would maybe consider down the last 3 years. So I mean, it's been a huge win. I was really impressed by how they moved the ball through the air. Quarterback Oronde Thompson had a huge night. Big win for the Eagles.
You know, we call that league that Cookeville and Riverdale's in, the Region 3 6A, call that the SEC of high school football. Some people do. Maybe this year a little bit down, I think. Siegel got beat in that league. Didn't score a point. A lot of haves and have-nots.
I think it's the haves and have-nots. And as we were talking about earlier, I think there's more have-nots in that league than there are haves than we've seen in seasons past.
Well, we're going to talk about the big have. Oakland, the number one team, the 6A poll, number one team in the Tennessee USA Today Tennessee Network Super 25 poll, number one team. They go up the road to a budding rival. They've had some great meetings over the last few years. They're going to go play Maryville, rematch of last year's 6A semifinal. Kind of a controversial ending, depending on who you talk to, with a field goal attempt that went up, and there was some movement on the line, and some people thought there should have been a false start. No flag was given. Maryville wins the game. They go on and win the 6A title. Oakland goes up. I'm sure they're thinking a lot about revenge. It's going to be an interesting game up there at Maryville, and we've got two of our reporters, our Knoxville News Sentinel prep editor, Diana Neros, and Cecil Joyce of the Murfreesboro Daily News Journal. They discussed the game earlier today, and now we want to share their analysis of probably the biggest game in the state this week.
I'm Cecil Joyce of the Daily News Journal, and with me is Diana Neros with the Knoxville News Sentinel. We're going to discuss a little Oakland at Maryville football this coming Friday night. Diana, are you excited about this matchup?
I'm looking forward to this one. You hogged both matchups last year, so I'm glad I get to see one this year.
Well, I got to see a split, so we'll see how it shakes out this year. But last year, obviously, state semifinals, it was a huge game. Oakland led most of the game. Maryville came back, scored a late field goal to win 31-28, eventually winning the Class 6A state title. I know Oakland's probably got a little revenge in mind, but, the way this series has gone the last 3 or 4 years, I think revenge is the last thing that's on either one of these teams' minds.
Actually, I'd say it's probably on both their minds because Maryville got it in the playoffs when it matters. However, Oakland ended their regular season winning streak, and Braden Carnes is now the starting quarterback. That was his first start, so he said last week he'd like to get that one back and get a win for making up for that first start there.
Carnes played really well last year in the regular season matchup. Oakland's defense was just a little too much. I think it was 17-14 was the final in that game. Saw some really good things out of Carnes, but I think Maryville was anxiously awaiting getting Dylan Hopkins back for the playoffs, and obviously he was a big factor.
They were, and Carnes said it's a little different this year, playing on Friday when he wasn't just filling in. He is not their only quarterback. They are playing both Carnes and Cade Chambers. Carnes got maybe 2/3 of the snaps on Friday, but that can change game to game. but it's still, even sharing the ball, he said this feels more of his or theirs at least, not him just filling in for a game. So it's interesting to see the difference there and how obviously he said replacing Dylan Hopkins is one of the hardest things you can ask of a quarterback, but they're excited. They're up for the challenge, and they've got some other weapons that they're really excited about too.
Exactly. And Oakland has got a little different situation at quarterback as well. Last year, they played about 50-50 on snaps between Brevin Linnell and Timmy Goodrich. Goodrich has graduated. Oakland still plays a sophomore, Vic Stevenson, in kind of a wildcat role, but not nearly as much as last year. It's probably a 90-10 split or a 85-15 split between the two. Linnell's pretty much got control of the reins this year and did a good job in week one.
I know
What about some of the standouts you saw at Maryville's game against Knox Catholic last week?
So the obvious two are T. Hodge and A.J. Davis. T. Hodge has an offer from Tennessee. They're both very quick. They ran track this year. I believe it was A.J.'s first year running track and got faster. T. Hodge is running back, stepping in for his brother Isaiah Cobb in the lead running back role. But Maryville does play two backs. And Bryson Tiefelteller had a really good game last week. He was ended up with the leading stats last week. And really impressed me. I don't want to say surprised me because he played last year some too, but he impressed me, looked good. So they're going to be a dangerous two-back system. And A.J. Davis was the leading receiver this year. Last year, and on Friday. He's back and looks great. He's one that we're going to see blow up on the recruiting side soon. I'm not really sure why he hasn't yet, but I'm sure it's going to happen very soon for him too.
Well, Oakland's offense had a really big day Friday night. Obviously, their defense is highly touted. The defense came through, allowed only 7 points to Independence, but the offense put up 46 points. They had two 100-yard rushers. Transfer student from Nashville Christian, Xavier Myers, rushed for 141 yards, and senior Justin Jefferson rushed for 123 yards. So they had plenty of offense to spread around, but still, this team is built on their defense. And I know last year, the 31 points allowed to Maryville was the most Oakland has allowed in the Kevin Creasy era. So they're wanting to definitely improve on how they stop Maryville this year. Maryville quarterback Dylan Hopkins had a huge throw late in that game last year. I think his winning when it counted is something that Maryville's probably missing the most out of him. Talk about what these two quarterbacks possess as far as their approach to the game and their leadership.
Well, because we haven't seen a ton of them, we haven't seen exactly what they're going to look like in different games. Coach Derek Hunt said after the game on Friday that they are going to need to improve. The whole offense needs to improve. They've only returned 3 starters. So there's a lot of room for improvement, but he was happy with what he saw at quarterback. Braden Carnes taking a little bit more of the snaps, but he showed good decision making. Obviously, Catholic's defensive line isn't as highly touted as their offensive line, but that's a stress on the as because they bring a big line, and he was able to handle them. And there weren't any crazy stats necessarily, but he didn't look flustered or anything at any point. Neither of them did, really. So, well, I can't say how they're going to – this wasn't close down the line. They pulled it out. The defense shut Catholic out in the second half, and so I can't say what we'll see then. I'd be really interested to see because they didn't look flustered at any point on Friday.
Well, they put up 31 points against the defending state champion, so there's something went right Friday night for sure. I think Oakland's defense and Maryville's offense, I think that's the two keys right now. I don't think it's Oakland's offense versus Maryville's defense right now because Oakland returned 14 starters, a lot on the defensive front. And also they have coming back a transfer from Siegel, Joseph Anderson, defensive end, has played well in the preseason and part of the first game until he got hurt with the elbow injury. We're still trying to assess what his status is for Friday night's game. I will let you readers know in our upcoming articles. The linebacking core is solid. The defensive front solid for Oakland. I mean, defensively, this is about as good a high school defense as I've seen in several years.
Well, Maryville's defense is where they return starters also. Maryville had 3 starters back on offense and 6 on defense, so it might not be quite those numbers you just listed off. But after the game on Friday, Catholic coach Steve Matthews was quick to credit the Maryville defense. And as I said, they shut them out in the second half. This isn't quite the Catholic team we saw last year. However, they're still Catholic, and Maryville shut them out in the second half. And the defense was the part that Coach Hunt was happiest with after that game. So it'll be interesting, not that the defenses go up against each other, but we might not see a super high-scoring game this time out, though I'd be happy to be surprised on that front.
And that would be my prediction. All right, quickly, what's your prediction for the game? Score?
I'm going to say Maryville 21-17.
I'm going to say Oakland 24-14. And there you have it. That's Diana Neros with the Knoxville News Sentinel. I'm Cecil Joyce with the Daily News Journal. And read more on dnj.com and knoxvillenewssentinel.com.
I think 21 is what I predicted in the paper.
I think I was 21-20. I like a little bit closer of a contest.
You went nail-biter.
But I think you'd be silly to pick against Oakland right now.
I think Kevin Creasy's much going to be motivated
Yeah.
to win big this game.
When you throw in that, yeah.
Speaking of motivation, guys,
Great segue.
motivation here, fantasy football. It's something we created this year, with our high school sports writers across Middle Tennessee. Michael and myself and Cecil Joyce in Murfreesboro and George Robinson in Clarksville. We're all getting together, and each week we're picking our own high school football, fantasy football team, kind of helping to that way we'll probably follow the games a little bit more different, a little different this year.
We had our pick'ems contest last year. That kept things interesting, but this a whole new level. When I got back Friday night,
still be doing that.
Came in Friday night. There was a whole new excitement level.
Yeah, now instead of looking at who won, it's like, hey, how did this guy do?
Yeah.
So first week is in the books. Michael Murphy, we were still auditing his numbers just to make sure. The Inglewood Boston Terriers had 182.45 points. We're going to have to do some look to make sure that's correct.
I'm not great at math, but I added it up like 6 times. So
yeah, my hometown heroes, 172.15 points. Cecil Joyce's Joyce's Juggernauts, 104.4 points. Distance third. Sorry,
yeah.
Cecil.
Yeah.
George Robinson, Happy Fun Gang, 87.7. It's anything but happy.
Wasn't happy this week.
Wasn't a happy
get
fun
back
time
on,
for the Happy Fun Gang. For you, who was your big performer?
My man was Devon Starling of Cane Ridge. 236 yards rushing, 4 of the team's 5 touchdowns, 46.7 points from one player.
Wow. My big producer, Darius Heilich, like 200 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns. Big night for him. Can't help that. That was my big point. But you got a lot of production.
The difference maker was all my position players each got me 20 points. Ben Nixon, Tamikis Napier, Trey Davidson, Mikkel Smith, and Anthony Holmes.
Shout out for them.
They spread it out. They deserve the shout out.
Yeah. The one rule we have here, guys, is we can only pick those players. Like, I can only pick my team one time during the regular season. So next week we'll have to all pick different players. I mean, some of the people that you pick, I may be able to pick up.
Heilig's off the table for him.
Yep.
Starling's off the table for me.
So we'll be doing our draft on Wednesday to kind of pick this week's stuff. But we'll see how that goes. All right. Of course, the game of the week is going to be Oakland at Maryville. The game you're going to be at, I think, is very intriguing. A couple big storylines there. Ensworth at CPA. A rematch of last year's 21-20 overtime win by CPA. Yeah. Jeremy Garrett, first-year coach at Ensworth, a lot of pressure replacing a guy like Ricky Bowers. Picked up a 14-6 win against Lipscomb. The big win. I mean, any win's a win, but when you consider last year, Ensworth won 35-0. I don't know if it speaks volume for what the improvement Ensworth's going to make, or how much does it say about Scott Tillman's team at Lipscomb. I think this will be an interesting week for them as well. But Ensworth, CPA, a lot of storylines. What's your take on it?
I think Kane Patterson's the guy. I think Innsworth obviously has him circled. Last year, he came up huge in that it was a shocking win last year when CPA beat Innsworth. He had 84 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, also 11 tackles defensively. He was, by all accounts almost, he was the man that game, and I expect him to have another big night Friday.
Of course, Kane Patterson, our number one person in our Dandy Dozen, which is our top 12 college football prospects for the class of 2019. Linebacker committed to Ohio State. Definitely, he's the one reason you need to go there. If he plays for Innsworth, Keyshawn Lawrence, who will be one of the top prospects in next year's class, I believe. I think he'll be, and then you've got Tyler Barron, defensive end, lineman, tight end type combination, big recruiting guy there. And the
CPA quarterback Ryan Elledge, he was almost perfect last week. Tight end, linebacker Bryce McCormick, wide receiver, defensive back. Noah Henderson, I always forget his first name, but yeah, he's been great. He's had a great career, good start to the year. This should be a good one at CPA.
Your thoughts on that?
I like CPA in another close one. I don't remember exactly the score I picked, but I know it was a single score game.
Okay, we have a question on our from a listener, Marshall Winkler, Franklin at Riverdale, couple 0-1 teams, not the start either one of them wanted to have. Who do you got? Who gets win number one?
Of those teams, I think Franklin is the one that came away feeling a little more positive after last week's outcome. They both lost, obviously, but Franklin played rival Brentwood pretty tougher than a lot of us expected. I like Franklin, and maybe 2 scores.
Give me Riverdale. Will Kreisky will figure out a way. It's Will versus Donnie Webb. Donnie Webb was his high school coach at Henry County.
He goes back.
He goes back a long time. So I'm gonna pick Riverdale, and I think it'll be a close one. But I think Riverdale finds a win at home, I believe. Right? They might be on the road. But anyway, Riverdale wins this game. We'll figure out a way.
You like the student over the teacher, is what you're saying.
I like the student over the teacher, and Rutherford beats Williamson in this.
That's
game.
what he really likes, folks.
That's what it is. That's it's always about that, right? So, quick fire some games. NBA is hosting Pearl Cone. They play about every year.
Just about.
A lot of talent on the field, especially when you're talking our Dandy Dozen.
Yeah, it's a lot like the game I went to last week at Davidson Academy. I think you got 4 FBS commitments, 3 Dandy Dozen guys, a lot of talent on the field. Pearl Cone, they've come close, never beaten NBA. They played at least 20 times, so that may be more. They've come close. We'll see if they can get it done Friday.
The talent on this field, Jackson Hanna was number 12 on our Dandy Dozen. He's committed to Nebraska. He's a linebacker for the Big Red. His teammate at NBA, Jackson Lampley, a pair of Jacksons, offensive lineman going to Tennessee. He was number 5 on the Dandy Dozen. And then Jaden Harrison, Pearl Cone wide receiver, number 8 on the Dandy Dozen, going to Vanderbilt there. And then the person we haven't talked about, not on our Dandy Dozen, but committed to Tennessee, Elijah Simmons.
Elijah Simmons.
Big track athlete for him, too, run the shot put
distance. Field. He's not out there running, but,
No,
he can move.
Him and I, we run the same speed.
In the same weight class.
Yeah. So, he's one shot put and disc. He's going to Tennessee for football as well. Big guy up front.
He's going to have to be big. NBA has traditionally run the ball well in this game. He's going to have a huge night if for that to not be the case.
A game I don't think will be played on the ground. Maplewood at East Nashville. Both coming off wins. Bobo Hodges.
Yeah.
Wow. We remember him as a basketball player a couple years ago when they won state. He's really developed well into the
legitimate quarterback. He's athletic. He's not a run-first quarterback. And his stats from last week.
300-plus yards passing, 6 touchdowns, and a win over McGavick. I think this is a very intriguing game with East Nashville coming off a huge win motivation against Riverdale. Man, I like Maplewood in this game because I like Kendrell Scurry, Mikkel Smith, Tavares Springer. I'm going to say it. I know we were talking off camera earlier today. best wide receiving crew in the Nashville area,
Yeah.
bar none.
I mean, they're up there in the state. I mean, those three guys, Kendrell Scurry, big-time prospect, has pretty much been his whole year. That's kind of fallen off recently. Jabari Springer going to Western Kentucky. Mikael Smith, a 1,000-yard receiver from a year ago. I mean, they are loaded at wide receiver. But East Nashville's got some athletes, too. They look pretty good coming off the bus, from what I'm told. So, I mean, there should be a lot of points in this one.
One of our Danny Dozen guys, Deshaun Watkins,
Yep.
is on that, the safety athlete. You know, we talked, they're not going to get him the ball. Probably
He'll
much.
catch some passes. He's more of a defender, and he's not the biggest guy, but, man, I have seen him hit some people. He is not afraid of contact.
Well, folks, live show number 1 is in the book. Thanks for being part of the Bootleg, a high school football live talk show produced here at the Tennessean. Make sure you follow him at Murph_TN Sports. He'll be at one of our best games, Ensworth at CPA. You follow me at Kreager. I'll be in the office kind of manning things Friday night. Of course, you can also follow our Twitter account at Nashville Preps. Again, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.